Mathew Mozzoni with Triumph Audio here. You were just listening to a track I wrote using Cinematic Solo Effects, our new sample library for Kontakt. We're going to let the track play at the end of the video in full, but you can check it out on SoundCloud in a playlist with a bunch of other demos written by some phenomenal composers. We'll put the link in the description where you can listen to that. Also go to triumphaudio.com to look at this instrument and other instruments like it. In this video, we're going to take a look at the licks and phrases patches from the library, which are just a small part of the library as a whole. To give you a general overview of the library, it contains patches for flute, clarinet, alto sax, tenor sax, bass clarinet, and trumpet. Each of those instruments has what you would expect in terms of sustains and staccatos and things like that. But there's also processed patches, which are kind of synthy, sound designy types of patches, as well as these more performance type patches, which are licks and phrases and arpeggios and things like that. Let's hop over into Logic. We'll take a look at the track, but also how the sample library is organized and some of the other patches. Okay, so before we get into this track, I just wanted to show you really quickly how these are organized. I've got it down here in my quick load. We have a folder called Authentic. These are all of your authentic patches. So this will be your sustains and staccatos and all that kind of stuff, which is on Keyswitches. I'll show you that here in a second. We also have arpeggios, atonal stuff, and then your licks and phrases and things like that. Now, in the process folder, each of these instruments will have their kind of drones, pads and leads, and pulses, which are organized in a really clear way so that you can quickly grab the kind of sound you're looking for. But these will be samples that have been kind of warped and mangled to get that more kind of sound designy, synthy kind of thing. So, okay, let's check out the track. This is a jazz, mystery, noir kind of thing that I wrote to showcase how versatile this sample library can be, but also to feature these licks and phrases patches that I think are really useful and how you can use those in your production. So let's just take a listen to it really quickly. I've left everything as MIDI so that you can see what's triggering what. So we'll listen and then we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics and how you can manipulate these to work with your music. So here we go. So as you can hear, we're starting with this tenor sax solo. Something I really like about this library and a lot of the other Triumph audio libraries are these transpose patches, and these licks and phrases make great use of that. So down here on the bottom left part of the keyboard, you can see that the keys are this different color here. I guess that's cyan, right? Is that cyan? So if I find a lick I like, I can quickly... So that's the lick from the beginning of the track. Let's say I wanted to take my track was actually up a minor third. All I do is I basically, these work like key switches, and I can just change the key. And if you wanted to, you can actually change the key on the fly. I'll solo this up. So it works really smoothly. There's no clicks or pops or anything like that. Really useful to make greater use of these licks and phrases so that you can put them in any key you need them in. You'll see here that I used a couple different samples. That first lick was just one sample. And then here I'm just combining different samples. Let's take a listen to that. So as you can see, I'm combining these different samples that are mapped to different keys to kind of get one solo. So I'm kind of composing the solo in collaboration with the Triumph Audio library there. Okay, so in this first section here, we also have the sustained woodwind chords. Let's take a listen to those. These are the key switches I was talking about earlier. So you can see that they're key switching to this sustain. Let's listen to them and then I'll show you these other key switches. So they are key switching to these sustains. But let me show you some of the other articulations you can get. Here's your staccatos. You got the rips, some kind of descending arpeggio figures. You heard your trills and then your flutter tongue. And so each instrument kind of has their own little cool stuff that you'll find, but they all have sustains and staccatos. And so they can combine really easily to sound like one section. Let's take a listen to this bridge part here where the trumpet takes over. The trumpet sounds great. You'll see I have this track here called Lick I Like. I didn't actually get to use this in this track. I didn't find a place for it, but I just wanted to showcase it really quickly because the way that this trumpet player reaches up for that note, it's just so human and sounds so great and so idiomatic of this style. I thought I'd kind of just play it for you real quick. So great. I really dig it. Okay. On this section, you'll also hear more of these sustained winds, and I like this bass clarinet part here that's pedaling on the G, the dominant. Everything else is doing what's called kesh, chromatic elaboration of static harmony. So you'll hear it go, you know, minor, minor major 7, minor 7, minor 6. These instruments really glue together well, so just really nice sounding stuff there. Okay, going back into this next section here, I thought I'd show you this flutter tongue. So I've got some automation in there. To make it kind of gradually come in and gradually go back out. Okay, this last section, we have the clarinet lead. So I've left this as 2 tracks here. I did that just to kind of blend the 2 together, so one will kind of pick up where the other leaves off, so it sounds like one thing. I left it as MIDI so I could show you this little trick here. So as we can see, I've transposed it to fit with the track. But what I've also done is I've messed with the release time. If it's a longer lick, you can make it play a little bit less or a little bit more of the ending of that phrase based on the release time. So this would also be a good time to highlight the Triumph Audio Engine, which all of these samples are in. You can see you have a lot of controls here on the main screen. We have our amp envelope with our ADSR, pitch envelope, ADSR. We can control the gain and panning and tuning from here, as well as a filter and filter envelope. We have effects that you can mess with here, a bunch of effects. We also have the rhythm engine, so you can get in. We actually have a step sequencer, filter sequencer, all kinds of LFOs. And then our output engine where you can add compression and EQ and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to show that you can adjust the release times of these samples, which make them even more customizable in how you use them. Okay, so coming out of that section, we have these atonal flute licks that we use to transition out of that. Let's take a listen to those. So I don't know if I would use both of those in this track normally, but I wanted to showcase some of these licks here that I really like. So let's take a listen to them both. Just this bottom one here. And then this top one, which just the phrasing on it, I really love. Okay, in this final section here, we get more of the sax solo. And then the way that this track ends, we have this big chord. I really love this sample here. If you So I really like that sample because it's got a lot of, you can hear the player really kind of getting breathy there at the end and then ending it really naturally. I just thought that was nice. Yeah, that's the track. We're We're going to let that play in full here in a minute. Check this out along with the other Triumph demos on our SoundCloud page, as I mentioned before. Go to our website, check this instrument out along with the other Triumph Audio stuff, and we'll let the track play in full now. Thanks for listening.